Can you sell expensive physical products using special reports and other direct response copy like long form sales letters? You certainly can. Hey, this is Justin Hitt from Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips. A huge opportunity in any marketplace is to use a two-step sequence where you generate a lead and then provide some kind of informational kit to set up the sale of a product, even if it's a $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 product. I'll give you some examples. Businesses of all sizes use long-form sales letters, but they don't call them the same thing. In the IT world or information technology world, they use white papers and special reports. The structure is the same, except they may talk about more technical details. The purpose is the same, to help the reader make a buying decision, and the call to actions are usually kind of weak. But as I've talked about before on these channels, I have written special reports, technical briefings, all kinds of documents that were essentially used as part of some kind of selling process. Now, there could be a technical training document that's a specific getting started training guide that is then included with a cover letter and an appointment that sets up the sale of an expensive product. But I was even in a situation where I was helping a company buy it's about $1.5 million worth of SAN. It's basically a network attached storage or a fabric attached storage from Hitachi. And we did negotiate that down, and they saved a significant amount of money. That was my role. But there were still bound reports that demonstrated how to use the product, copies of manuals that were provided in advance. There were on-site consultants. Now, if you're going to buy something that costs $1 million, the customer gets a little bit more attention than if you're selling a $10,000 product. But physical products, from excavators to computer equipment to buildings, are sold with a sales letter. Now, the bigger the company is, the more corporate that letter is going to be. It could be a proposal that has contractual terms and obligations and less benefit language. It could be a white paper that goes over a specific technical aspect that is included in a package or a presentation that talks about the benefits and long-term value of a particular product. Often white papers are written for the financial side, and then the same company will write a white paper for the technical side. But your procurement managers, your decision makers in corporate environments, they are requesting free information and getting it by mail. Now, you don't see this on the internet because it is one of those secret behind the scenes things that nobody really talks about, because you are going direct to a customer. And that's what I love about direct response. As a copywriter, as a marketing, as a business development professional, your ability to go direct, to research a prospect, find ideal and target buyers, and then drive directly to the decision maker with an offer, it's just universal. It works like wonders. When I was doing business development with government contractors, we were selling $700,000, $1 million, $2 million, $25 million contracts with a lot of pre-work, educating the buyer about what is the right solution. Now, it was the same process. It was a networking event to identify decision makers, send some letters to the decision makers. Decision makers raised their hand and said they want more information. And then we'd send the latest white paper, the latest special report, the latest implementation guide, the latest introductory training for non-technical professionals using the system. We'd send a training for technical professionals administering the system. And then eventually we'd have a meeting about how much of the system would they want. It is a long-form sales letter. The copy is available out there. Very often you can find that copy, but the fundamentals of selling sunglasses, Joe Sugarman's selling sunglasses, the same fundamentals apply. It's just the delivery might be a little bit different. And again, there's a bigger ticket, so you can afford to have a little bit different delivery. But the further you go to the corporate side, the more there'll be that corporate message, the more the customer really won't know how to buy, and they'll just pick the brand name that they know best. So if you're talking about IBMs or Cisco's, they're more likely to have their training channel or their salesperson borrow things and assemble a package for use. But don't get me wrong here. A large corporation will have an opportunity for a copywriter or for a marketer to hire them as a freelancer and to help draft and prepare these materials. You just have to be more aware that the editorial side of that is going to be really rough. It's not like working with a direct marketer who understands a call to action, who understands headlines, who understands some of the hyperbole that's used to keep the reader's attention. You'll be getting editing by a committee, and that committee will very often butcher the piece of work. But as long as their check clears the bank, just don't hype them any expectation that the stuff's going to work. I also think companies with long sales cycles, they may have 4 or 5 long form pieces, but not really know which one contributes to the sale. It's not as direct because there's more decision makers. So a good small business can definitely benefit. That's a business under $100 million. Can benefit from a more direct response long form piece if they're selling a physical product because they're more likely to have trade show events and other activities. When you get to a larger organization, it's going to be that sales office in California or that sales office on the East Coast that are more likely to do a direct hire for a smaller dollar amount to get existing pieces tuned into a particular audience or customer base. And now, of course, with content marketing, you can have a lot of content creation as part of your service to the customer. But let's not forget why content is there. Content on a website is about generating leads or generating an appointment or making large ticket stuff usually doesn't have a direct sale. However, it's out there. Don't forget about it. And in a time right now where people are shut down due to the coronavirus and people are they're doing more stuff remote, they are bringing on freelancers, and a freelance copywriter, marketer, or business development professional can come in and make the suggestion about educating the customer about how to buy a solution rather than waiting for them to show up, a more proactive approach. And also they can use information pieces or long form sales letter pieces in the pre-sale process to set up small decision events like webinars and other activities where perhaps you're doing a lead generation piece where they request the special report. The special report sets up a webinar. The webinar goes into more detail. The webinar sets up an on-site appointment. And you're using it as part of your pre-selling, part of your filtration, and part of your upfront filtering of prospects. Now, where do long-form sales letters for physical products not work? Well, I don't really know. Because at any time someone has to make a decision, and the bigger the decision is, the more likely they are going to sit down and think about that decision. Maybe you can't sell houses with a long-form sales letter, but you can certainly sell the right real estate agent to work with. Maybe you can't sell Boeing aircraft with a sales letter, but you can express all the important reasons why an executive may want to use their own aircraft rather than standing in line and the frustrations of the Homeland Security and the TSA. And you might deliver that instead of a special report. You might deliver that in a book that shares stories and experiences about executives who made the right decision to get a private aircraft for their corporation so that one day they can send that aircraft to China to bring back masks for a budding political candidate. Current news blended in there. My point being is there isn't a problem that a sales letter cannot solve. And I think Gary Halbert first coined that. But you are helping that decision maker to make a decision. Whether you're delivering it as a spoken presentation, whether you're delivering it as a special report, or a plain out sales letter, you are connecting with the conversation in their mind today, helping them across the threshold of their decision, helping them identify problems that they may face. So mistakes reports are very often used to sell physical products. 27 mistakes that construction managers make when purchasing equipment for long-term projects. It could be 27 mistakes construction managers make when they rent equipment for long-term projects. It just depends on the thing, but you can find a handful of mistakes, put them in a report, and get them in front of people. Now, I've also seen in this direct sale of physical product or physical deliverables, I have seen the use of special reports as a reinforcing tool So there's several research agencies that produce research reports, and very often those research reports in a cover letter, and we talk about that in Recycle Your Marketing. A lot of times you can buy an expensive research report license, and then you can provide excerpts from the report with a cover letter, and the cover letter basically says, hey, I know you have these problems. We talked about these problems, and you may not have made a decision yet, but this report tells you how horrible those problems are and how much you stand to lose from those problems. So let's make a decision right now. Or can we get an estimate together? Or can we get a proposal together? And we used to get those reports, trend reports, outlook reports, that were essentially long-form sales letters selling the idea that action is necessary to avoid a pending event. So again, it's how you shape it. If you think just sales letter, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities to serve your customers. There are gaps in what customers are doing, which could include focusing on a long-form sales letter rather than recycling those letters into informational guides, books for the general trade, reports that they deliver within associations. These are all different modalities to reach your target audience, and that really is the bottom line. Who wants to buy what you've got to offer? Who will benefit from it most? How do we get them to raise their hand so we can get them the information they need to make a decision to buy from you over anybody else? Hey, I'm Justin Hitt with Ad Briefing's Copywriting Tips, and this has been about long-form sales letters and the sale of physical product. If you've got questions about this or anything else we cover, visit us at www.adbriefings.co.uk. And there should be a little icon down in the lower right-hand corner you can click and ask your questions, and we'll get back with you either through a podcast or one of our newsletters, or if you're a paid subscriber, we'll cover it in a special report for one of your monthly special reports. I'm here to help you use words that sell to transform your business, attract more customers, and be more profitable as a copywriter, marketer, or business development professional. Again, you can visit us at www.adbriefings.co.uk. I'm Justin Hitt. Thanks for listening.